Welcome back to another episode of Home Service Headquarters. Today I got the chance to interview Tim Sparks. Tim is a really cool guy with a really cool name who has started a journey building the Knock Knock app. An app that connects home service providers directly to homeowners and adds cost savings and clarity to the home service industry. Let's hop into the interview. Welcome back to another episode of Home Service Headquarters. Today I welcome on a special guest, a different type of guest, which I'm excited about, Tim Sparks. Tim is a self-proclaimed serial entrepreneur, which we will get into a little bit, which I'm excited for, and also the founder of the Knock Knock app, which is where we'll spend most of our time today, talking about some cool things that the Knock Knock app can do for both service providers and homeowners themselves. Tim, how you doing today?
I'm great, man. How are you? Thanks for having me, Jack. I appreciate it.
I'm excited. I'm excited to talk software. This is more in my personal realm. So I'm excited to talk through some of this. I'm going to start us off with a silly question that I didn't have written down here, but has anybody ever told you have a great name?
Yeah, I've heard that several times.
It's meant to be an infamy. So I'm hoping just the name alone might get us some clicks because people need to know what Tim Sparks is about.
That'd be great. Yeah. It's a great last name. And I had an electric company called Sparks Electric, of course, that a few years back and I sold that off and now I'm doing the Knock Knock app and heating and air conditioning, which my last name is obviously plays into that as well.
Right. So let's start. I mentioned it at the top, a serial entrepreneur, and you've already, mentioned two of them. Take us through kind of your business journey from, wherever you want to start, however young you want to start, and take us through kind of where you've been and what got you to where you are today.
Yeah. So I was introduced into this world back in 1975. No, I'm just kidding. So I am a serial entrepreneur. Right after high school, I left. I grew up in Iowa, a small town in Iowa, Lamar's, Iowa, the ice cream capital of the world. And I went out to see the country, and I just was into opening businesses at an early age, and I've done everything from construction, doing rehabs in 9 different markets around the country, to running a mobile IV therapy bar just recently. So it's just in my blood. My dad, he was an entrepreneur growing up, and I saw him be a real estate broker and an insurance agency owner, and that's very difficult, in a small town. It's a grind for sure. So I just love getting into business, and that's where I'm at today.
And what was business number one? You mentioned a few there. What was the first?
A venture capital business. I raised money for startups a long time ago. That got me really into the obviously raising money is not an easy thing to do for anything, no matter how small it is. But we were doing a number of different medical centers around the country that did well, and then I moved on to a mortgage company with a real estate brokerage right after that, because they go hand in hand. Yeah. And then it just snowballed because I look at things a little bit differently. So when I started my mortgage company, I was able to see the need for people that were trying to qualify, but they couldn't qualify for a loan. They were just short of qualifying. So when I started my real estate brokerage, I partnered up with a company out of Chicago that was doing lease options. And they were allowing people to qualify for a program that they offered where people were just short of qualifying for a mortgage. So they would come in and actually buy the home that the tenant in this case picked out. So I started I had that mortgage company. Instead of buyers, I had my buyer, right? The company out of Chicago was, they were buying the houses. I just needed to find the lead. So I marketed to renters and tenants, trying to get them qualified to buy, which then they went into that program. So, and then that snowballed into a construction business because that company had a property management company, and they were looking for service providers in the area because they're new to Denver. And the supervisor came into my office one day and said, "Hey, do you know a cleaning company? We need to clean houses." So I started All That Sparkles. It goes back to my name, right? So I hired cleaners and started all that, all that sparkles. And then it snowballed into, hey, do you know a drywaller? And then I went out and I found a drywall company and I partnered with them. Do you know any electrician? That was prior to Sparks Electric, but any service provider they needed, I was able to locate in the 9 states that I went into actually. And it served me very well over the years. It made me grow as a business owner extremely fast and see all sides of service providers, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally. It is a good history because a lot of people like to claim the title of a serial entrepreneur, but
Yeah.
one 4-minute conversation with you and we can prove that one out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So that's interesting. You kind of started outside the realm of service businesses and almost found your way into it in a natural way.
Yes.
And is that something you quickly took to? You have an experience in business, a background in kind of other things. Was that something you quickly enjoyed and focused on?
Yeah. So when, Sparks Heating and Air is my HVAC business here in Denver. It came from the company of the construction, All That Sparkles, the cleaning company that turned into the construction business that I was doing rehab. I just looked at the different facets of the process of the rehab and found the best niche market that I could find, which was heating and air conditioning. We know service industries in general, they're not going away anytime soon. They're, the trade industry, as you know, having this podcast and the experience you do have, and the hundreds of people that you spoke to in the service business, that plumbing, electrical, heating and air, the trade business is here to stay. And heating and air conditioning is an all year round business, really. Right. So that's where that came from. That's where that business came from.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And another thing, as you're going through it, you kind of are a problem solver with, businesses. You have one business, you see room for another one, and it kind of leads itself into the next thing, which is a perfect segue to Knock Knock app.
Yes.
Take us through a little bit of the history of Knock Knock app. What sparked the interest, pun intended, to have you start this application?
I haven't heard that either. Yeah. So for my heating and air conditioning business, I had a warehouse and I was installing 20 systems a week. I worked with property management companies around Denver, and I was having a nurse come into my office in the morning before my guys would come and pick up their equipment. I was getting to the office at 5 a.m. And she would be there at 6. And she would hook me up on an IV because I was running probably 12, 13, 14 hours a day, doing that many systems. It's a lot of work, both, in the admin side as well as in the warehouse. And I was in a conversation with her and I was asking her how she was getting the leads like me when I went online, and she explained the process. And it was just like this tedious process where she has to take a snapshot of Google Maps on where she is. And it kind of went, from there. And then I was like, there's got to be a better way. So then I thought of Knock Knock Pros as an on-demand home service app that, one, I've seen the industry from the home service sector owning a heating and air conditioning business, where I've seen the struggles of the providers going on Angie's List or the Thumbtack or all these other companies that are promising all these leads, and all of it's leads for them, because as providers, and a lot of the people that are listening today that are service providers will understand this, that you could go on some of these platforms and spend thousands of dollars on names that never turn or materialize into an actual lead. That's what is my main point from a service standpoint, is I don't want to pay for just names. Like I want to pay for actual bookings, actual appointments that get me in front of the people, that, and those other platforms, Jack, they just don't do it. So that's one facet of it. And then the homeowner side of it, by being in the HVAC business and the rehab business, I always told my guys that work for me is take before and after photos of everything. Before you do anything, you need to take before and after photos, because that way, that's our only insurance policy, really, at the end of the day, is to say, hey, this is what it was before, this is what it was after. So that's also part of the app. And then, the GPS location is one of the features as well. it follows booking the doorstep, and we can get into this in a second. But I took everything that I learned in the service industry from being in HVAC, and I put that into the app. And I think that you've seen it, and the other people that are signing up are seeing it as well. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, no doubt. So we touched on it a little bit. Maybe I jumped in too quickly. Maybe give
Yeah,
me a quick elevator pitch of what the Knock Knock app does from the pros perspective. So from the service provider's perspective,
sure.
what's the sign up process look like even in through a day in the life of using the app?
Yeah, great. So the app is designed for service providers to fill gaps in the schedules, or if they're a new service provider, for example, that's just starting out in one of the categories we have, and we have over 196 categories that can sign up for the app. So if you take me, for example, as an HVAC guy, if I were to sign up for the app, it's a simple process. I download it from one of the app stores, whether it's Google or iOS app store. I sign up as a company. I put in my name, my information, basic information. I receive an email. I'm going to get a background check. I got to do. It's a basic background check. And then I sign up for Stripe, which is our gateway platform that handles all the payments from the booking fee that is charged through the process of actually being, if they choose whatever service the homeowner chooses, you can pay through the app as well.
Sure.
Once all of that is clear, I log on to the app, and the map is going to show me in my current location as a provider. After I select everything, all the services on what I do, HVAC, AC replacement, all of that, any homeowner that then goes on the app, they will see every service provider that's available. So if I, as a service provider, want to be on the map, I have to mark myself available.
Sure.
Once I'm on the app, I'm open to be seen by any of the homeowners. Once I get a booking, I have the choice to either accept it or decline it. If I accept it, it's just a flat $45 fee. And then once that is paid on a credit card that you guys, that you put on, you hit start driving, and it gives you directions to the homeowner's house.
Amazing.
It's very efficient, and I feel it's very necessary to give the transparency to the homeowner to say, hey, this is where I'm at. And if I got to stop at Home Depot or I got to do something like that, they can follow me, they can check in, and they can see it. So once the provider gets to the house, they click arrived at location and go to the front door. Once they knock on the door, the homeowner opens it, and I would ask for a 4-digit OTP code and put that into the app. And then that gives me access to that actual service work order for what that homeowner sent me over there for. If it's an AC estimate, I would go in, take a picture of the air conditioner, do whatever I need to do. And then if I recommend, let's say, a replacement or a repair or something along those lines, I can add additional services on the app itself and then hit submit. The homeowner would then receive that. They can approve it or decline it. If they approve it, I get a notification that says, hey, Jack approved the AC replacement. Go ahead and do it. I take, again, before and after photos and video. Once it's finished, I hit submit. The link goes to the homeowner. The homeowner can pay right there on the app. And then that payment, most of these other platforms actually charge for a percentage of the job. Some of them charge, sure, if it's expensive, they're making hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars. Sure. We don't do any of that. It's simply a pass through. We use Stripe, and it goes from homeowner through Stripe to the provider's bank account. And then they mark themselves available again, and they do it all over again.
Amazing. So not only are you, helping service pros get more efficient lead sources, you're also providing clarity to homeowners, clarity to service techs, streamlining timelines, and a whole bunch of different benefits, all, kind of in one application.
Absolutely. Transparency, honesty, and efficiency.
What was the moment, and maybe there isn't one moment, was there a moment in time, with that IV tech that you thought to yourself it would be beneficial? Was it something with your own company? Was it a timeline that was getting stretched out, additional leads? Was there one moment that kind of led you to want to create this?
It's No, I mean, after the IV and then over time, I was just, for me personally, my business, my heating and air conditioning business is run virtually by word of mouth.
Sure.
I'm wholesale, I'm factory direct, I will beat anybody's price. And I just was like, I don't really need it for me. I want to be able
Sure.
to get it out to other service providers at a reasonable rate to help companies that are just starting grow, and just even established companies get more business through the slow time. So I don't think there was an initial specific time, Jack, that was like the light bulb that hit off. I just know there's a need for it.
Sure.
And you can see how many people complain about those other platforms that just make the money. It's really
Right.
worth it.
Yeah, it's a cool kind of symbiotic relationship where you can, deliver a clear pricing model to give service businesses leads, and also the homeowner has a benefit. But we'll stay focused on the businesses for now, but there's a whole other side of this to the
Right.
homeowner component that I'd love to touch on as well. That's really cool.
Absolutely.
You mentioned a little bit about it. It's kind of twofold almost. There are small service businesses where maybe they're just getting started, and there's also large service businesses who are maybe looking to plug gaps. Do
Yeah.
you know, is there a breakdown of what a typical knock knock pro user is? Do you know, is it 70% new and up and coming, or what does that look like?
From the service provider standpoint of
Correct.
it,
Yeah.
I would say I would say 80% of them they're all established businesses
Okay.
for the most part. There's not a business that couldn't benefit from being on the app. And when I say that, it's not to get people to download the app and get on there. It's really like from dog walkers to drywallers to pest control to
Sure.
any category that you can imagine.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get on the app because, again, I want to be as fair as possible and get as many people, that outreach, that efficiency, that, stop going to Google and wasting time and calling
Mhm.
people that aren't calling you back. Just go to knock knock and find that one provider,
Yeah.
and get it handled.
One of the really beautiful things too that, as we talk about it, is it doesn't need to be everything. It can be another
Right.
tool in the tool belt for a service provider who might be looking for something.
That's right.
And I love the ability to be able to turn it on and turn it off, and a whole bunch of different benefits. It's a clear type of thing, that it's a symbiotic benefit for both business owners and homeowners.
Absolutely.
What would you say? This is another silly question. So you mentioned dog walkers. That was one that I was not expecting. My mind goes to home services of,
Yeah.
electricians, plumbers, handymen, and different things. What are some of the maybe obscure industries that you guys have on the Knock Knock app
Well, the dog walker one is probably
up
one of
there?
them. It's definitely up there. And there's some that I put on there that I was just kind of like at first, and then it was like, I no, we don't need that. But I think that if someone has a recommendation, they can reach out and I'll put it on there. Or
Sure.
services, Jack, like if for example, junk removal is another home service,
Yeah.
especially now coming up in spring, people cleaning out their garages, they want that. you know um, uh, a company here in Denver, they signed up, a junk company, Knockout Junk, which is ironic that it's named that,
Yeah,
with
it's
knock
amazing.
knock. But he called me up and was like, Tim, can you add small appliance removal? And I was like, absolutely, because that's something that he offers that I didn't even think of because I'm not in the junk removal business, right? So I added it, and now he's on the app, and we're gaining providers daily, which is great.
Amazing. How many providers, if you don't mind sharing, do you guys currently have?
79
Okay.
currently. We launched in Denver roughly 30 days ago, and we're seeing 1 to 2 providers now joining every other day. And what's crazy is we're getting providers signing up in other markets like
Yeah.
Baltimore, California,
Okay.
Arizona. We got a couple HVAC guys down there. So the word's getting out, organically, which is great. And it's just a matter of time that, it spreads throughout, hopefully.
Sure. So most of the focus right now is in Denver, but obviously the platform can support contractors nationwide.
100%.
Amazing. You're
100%.
just
Yeah.
US based currently?
Say it again.
Just US based currently for providers?
Yes. Yeah.
Gotcha. Very cool. Amazing. So a thing we discuss often on this podcast is marketing and how do
Yes.
you get in front of people and different things. This is a bit of a unique type of marketing where you're not marketing for homeowners directly. Homeowners will come to the service providers. What types of things do you guys do? Have you started doing to provide marketing or to get the word out?
Yeah. So recently, I brought on a marketing company here that come to my office on a daily basis. They're right
Sure.
next door, and we shoot, videos, and we're going to be getting into podcasts and webinars and things like that. But really, social media is obviously a very good marketplace for something like this.
Sure.
And that's primarily what we're doing. Besides the local networking groups here,
Right.
that I've been involved in from the heating and air conditioning side of things, just whatever it takes to get the word out, honestly. Jack, it goes back to my heating and air conditioning business where, word of mouth goes so far, and especially in a place like Denver, where I believe that this app is needed nationwide based on what I've seen and the research I've done with the providers that have signed up, even in those other markets. So it's good to just see how the word gets out organically. I like that.
Right.
The most,
Right. Yeah. You can do, as much as you can and as much as
Right.
you need to social media wise, but it's really going to come back to, people having success with it and telling their buddies and leading
Right.
to more success, which is really cool. The other cool thing is that, there's no cap. There's no, well, I guess maybe let me ask that. Is there a cap for service providers in the area? Do you guys only allow X amount in per, or anybody who's looking to provide services to homeowners is on?
Yeah, no, there's no caps. Anybody that wants to get on the app, we welcome them to be on the app. We want them on the app. The more variety and options that the homeowners can choose from, the better everyone is going to be. It's going to be better for everybody. It gives everyone a fair shot, and it's anyone. I want everyone on the app. There's no cap.
Yeah, that's amazing. And really, where that benefit is felt is for homeowners.
Yes.
We mentioned we'd get to that side. What
Yeah.
does the sign up process look like for a homeowner? What does their kind of use case look like?
Yeah. So the homeowner is simple. They go on, they sign up, email, basic information, and then they're on the app. They once they log onto the app, they're going to see a map that is going to show every single service provider category based on a car. It's going to the homeowner's going to see cars all around Denver.
Sure.
Let's just say
Like Uber.
You're right, exactly. And they'll click on the service provider that they want. They can see what it is, or they can search all providers, put in HVAC. Only HVAC will show up on the map at that point. They can click on whichever one they want. Once they click book, the provider would then accept or decline. If they do accept, the homeowner does receive a text message that says, Jack is on its way, track now. They click a button, track, and the map pops up, and they will actually see the provider from booking to doorstep and everywhere they drive until they get to the house. Give them the OTP when they get to the door, and the process is pretty simple from there. They sit back and wait till the provider sends before and after photos. The nice thing about the before and after photos, Jack, is when I was doing rehabs, some of my clients were in other states, right? Like they were in their office and they needed to see something. So
Sure.
I took that model and I was like, this is perfect, because if a homeowner is at work in an office and they can't be home for that provider to
Mm-hmm.
walk their dog or whatever service they're doing, they will get notified that they uploaded a photo and they can see it right then and approve it. So there's no waiting until they get home and reschedule a time. They can do it all over the app, which is
Amazing.
great.
And then, yeah, like you said, the booking is kind of handled, and then from there, it's the regular process people
That's right.
are used to. The work is done, and then the nice thing is it's all in one place. Then the payment is handled. Correct me if I'm wrong, the payment is handled both for the service provider to pay for the lead, and as well as the homeowner to pay for the service.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. And the last feature of the app is when the customer hits submit for the payment, they review the provider on a star rating, 1 through 5 star, but also the provider reviews the customer with a star rating as well. That way, there's been a lot of, times where you get to a house or a service location and it's completely different than what, you're dealing with is completely different. So, it's a way that the providers can keep the homeowners honest, if you will, just like homeowners keep us honest on our reviews as well. So,
yeah, it's a huge tool for transparency, and oftentimes, the reviews are one-sided, and that makes sense. But it provides another layer of transparency that I don't think is really, available on any other platform. Obviously, you've mentioned Angie's List and other things that you're kind of in the same arena, but that idea of transparency towards the homeowner is almost like a new benefit that service providers don't have available anywhere else.
Absolutely. And another benefit with the before and after photos is it stores everything in the app. So a homeowner can go back and look at past bookings and pull up the pictures of what was fixed. Let's say if they're listing their house for sale and an inspection item came up and the homeowner goes back and say, no, we fixed that pipe and here's the picture and this is the before and after photo. So there's references that they can go back and look at.
Sure. On both sides, then the homeowner has the history as well as the service provider.
100%.
Clarity everywhere. It's a really incredible, value add. You can see the value add, pretty plainly when you're thinking about, the ability to get more leads, to have flat pricing and things. But there's a lot of hidden value both on the service provider side as well as the homeowner side.
Yes, absolutely. I try to incorporate that on both sides, 100%.
Yeah. And a lot of things that, I don't think of, maybe even from myself as the homeowner perspective. And I'm sure a lot of service providers aren't thinking of, benefits that they get up. The idea is probably, well, I'd like, more on-demand leads or to fill the schedule and different things. But
that's right.
As they get started and are working through some of these things, that value becomes clear.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
One other question that popped into my mind, say somebody has a really good experience. The dog walker comes out, they do an excellent job. Is there an ability within the app to reach back out to that service provider to come back another time?
So in that case, I figured that if the dog walker was good at business, you hand the card to the homeowner and they would just connect that directly. However, they can go back on the app and find that dog walker again if they choose to do so. The other thing is we're rolling out different phases of the app, right? It's constantly evolving. In our next phase, which is working on, probably in the summer of this year, we're going to have a reserve feature where a homeowner can actually go on and reserve that dog walker and not have to, do any of searching anymore. Another phase that we're doing is a ride share type system where, again, I'm a volume-based company outside of the app and I'm bringing that into the app, and I want to do that with a ride share as well. And we're super excited about that as the summer comes. So it's constantly evolving, and we're super excited what the future is looking like.
Yeah, I mean, 30 days as far as software goes is certainly in its infancy, and you guys have plenty to offer right now, and I'm excited to see where it goes. You mentioned the idea of ride sharing. Is that like multiple services in one call, or what exactly does that look like?
So that that's going to be more of the flat rate ride share where I've been in a lot of Ubers. I'm sure you have as well, and you start a conversation with the rider or the driver, excuse me. At least I do, right? Like I'm always asking questions, especially now with where I'm at with this app. And the consensus is that those type of apps, they're great. They've worked. I mean, I'm not putting them down, but they seem very company centered, right? Like the money goes more to the company, and this is, you can Google it and you can see the complaints that the drivers are complaining about, and it's sad because a lot of the drivers are driving a long time and they're getting just a small part of the fare. So
Mhm.
I want to change that. So I'm turning it upside down. I'm saying, look, I want to give more back to the driver because I know the maintenance on cars and what that costs. And, there's a lot more details that will be coming out in the summer. And I would love to get back on the podcast with you
Yeah.
and, talk about that as well.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk updates. Are there any other updates you can share that are maybe in the near future or maybe even longer, long-term plans that you have to add to
Um,
that?
yeah, no, that's, I'm focused on here in Denver. We're putting together a kickoff event in June where we're going to invite service providers that to come and hear us and meet with us and,
Yeah.
thank them, the ones that signed up here locally and just give back a little bit, to the providers and say, hey, look, we appreciate, they're founding providers is really what I'm looking at. And it's just nice to give back to people. So I again, that's in June and we can get back on. Hopefully the other phases are rolled out by then and we can
Yeah.
jump on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure too, like any other software, you'll start to, hear from the people that are using it, both on the provider side and on the homeowner side,
That's
little
right.
ways to improve it. But
Yes.
what's impressive to me is the full scope of it. A lot of apps release and have many iterations that are needed pretty quickly, but you guys have a pretty full suite of options that are available for both the service providers as well as the homeowners.
Absolutely. Yeah. We tried to have it all in one centralized location and make it easy. I think that's important for
Very
sure.
cool. Awesome. Well, I have to get to our one recurring segment that we always have. That's hit or miss.
All right.
Basically, hit, agree with a statement, or miss, disagree with a statement. First one, hit or miss. Inaccurate or large arrival windows are one of the biggest pain points for homeowners looking for work done on their home.
I've been to a lot of concerts in my life, Jack, and my say it one more time.
Sure, absolutely. Inaccurate or large arrival windows are one of the biggest pain points for
Got it.
homeowners looking for work done.
That is a huge pain point. I've heard. I agree with that. So many times, and I'm sure the providers that are listening to this will agree with me that where are you at? When are you going to get here? How much longer? I have to run and get the kids. The app takes care of that, right? Like you see the homeowner sees it from booking the doorstep. And so I agree. It is a pain point for homeowners for big time windows. Yes.
And I'm sure, receiving some of those text messages becomes a huge pain point on the service provider side, as well as your, knee or elbow deep in work you're trying to finish up and you're getting a continuous text message about when
Right.
you're going to arrive to the next.
Right. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Next one, hit or miss. Ratings and reviews are the most influential factor in choosing a home service provider.
I think it's a hit. I agree with that statement. I don't think it's primarily the go-to for homeowners nowadays. I think word of mouth and referrals, like neighbors, friends, family, that type of thing, are more so critical versus the reviews. But I definitely think reviews are super important when homeowners look, for sure.
Amazing. And an added benefit, that Knock Knock's bringing to the market is the ability to review those homeowners as well, so you can understand maybe what you're getting into from that perspective. And then last one here, hit or miss. Paying for leads is an expensive but necessary cost of running a home service business.
I think I think depending on the lead, on where you're getting it.
Okay.
Spending your money just randomly on zip codes or competing, for the race to the bottom of price, I think is a waste of money. I think that getting on a application like mine, Knock Knock, where you can pay a reasonable flat rate booking and get a guaranteed appointment to the homeowner's house. Sure. So if the homeowner books you and you accept it, you're going to the homeowner's house. So there's no competing with 5 other guys and spending hundreds of dollars on wasted leads that never work out. So amazing. Yeah, that's my thought on that.
Very cool. Last one here, parting advice. So you've been in a lot of different business arenas, a lot of different service business arenas, and now are kind of entering a different arena where you're combining all of those experiences. If you were to give one piece of advice to service business owners, what would that piece of advice be?
Only one, huh?
Yeah, I'll give you a second. Take as much time as you need. This is, I mean, I'm sure we could break it down into one per industry you've been in, but
Right.
yeah, if there's any that come to mind that branch across.
I think the biggest one that comes to mind that I try to remember is just stay on course. Like, just everything happens for a reason, and especially in the home service business when there's so many different personalities and emotions, homeowners spending tens of thousands of dollars on repairs sometimes. And I know how it feels when you get down and like think, oh my God, I'm gonna hang up my hat and be done with this. And every time I think that, I'm like, look, I survived 100% of my worst days up to this point, and today's not going to get me down. I'm just going to keep moving forward. I'm going to be, that buffalo in a snowstorm that heads directly through the storm to get to that center of calmness. And I know tomorrow's going to be another day, and I'm just going to get through it. I think that's the biggest piece of advice that I would say to new providers, service, even business owners or experienced ones. Just stay with it.
Sure. That's amazing. Last thing then is, where can people get on the Knock Knock app, and where can people support what you're doing?
Absolutely. So thanks, Jack, for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's been fun. You can download the app on the App Store, iOS, Apple, or Google Play Store. You can go to knockknockpros.com and scan the QR code and download that as well. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me personally on my phone or email. I don't know if you'll put up that information, Jack, or you want me to give it?
Everything. Yeah, we'll put a link maybe to your guys' website. We'll put a link that leads directly to both the iOS and Google Play stores. And then, yeah, if you're willing to put information, I know that's a big thing for people who listen to the show, is just connecting with the people who, are on, because there's a lot of advice and things to give. So if you're willing, I'd love to have all those things in the description.
Absolutely. You can reach out to me. I'm open. I want to get the word out, and I'm here to listen as well. I mean, if you're struggling as a business owner or not sure where to go or to get things a different perspective, I would love to talk to you and share my experiences or give any advice that I can.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Tim. We'll make sure to put everything in the description. So anything you're looking for, listeners, check out the description. And we'll hopefully have Tim back on 6 months, a year from now, and we'll get updates on Knock Knock on its way to the moon.
That would be great. Thank you very much. Download the app today. You will be glad that you did. Thank you very much, Jack. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim.
Good one. See ya.